Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a pretty radical theory from our source material. It suggests that the most powerful forces controlling your life, they're not the ones you can see. They're the ones you've been taught to accept as totally normal.
So let's just jump right in with a massive question, one that's the foundation for this entire theory. Is the world you experience every single day the real world? Philosophers have been kicking that one around for centuries, and the answer is key to understanding how power really works. Okay, so this theory is grounded in a classic philosophical idea. It argues that we never actually experience objective reality, what philosophers call noumena. Instead, our brain kinda acts like a filter. It takes in all this raw data and processes it into a reality we can understand, the phenomena. Think of it this way. Your eyes see light waves, your ears hear vibrations, but it's your brain that turns it all into a song. The big takeaway here is this. Reality isn't something we just see, it's something our mind builds. And that idea, well, that leads us to the core question of this entire explainer. If reality is something our minds build, couldn't someone else provide the blueprints? This theory argues that's exactly how modern power works. To figure out how this works, we're going to follow 3 clues presented in the source. And we're starting with something we all use and think we understand: money. So our source lays out a really simple thought experiment. Imagine a community deposits $5 million into a brand new bank. Now, because of something called fractional reserve banking, the bank only has to keep 10% on hand. It can lend out the rest, all $4.5 million. Seems like a pretty simple question, right? You start with 5 million, 4.5 million gets loaned out. So how much money is actually in the system now? The logical answer feels obvious, but it's wrong.
The actual answer is $9.5 million. How is that even possible? Well, it's because the original $5 million never actually left the depositors' accounts. It's still their money. But at the exact same time, that $4.5 million loan also exists as brand new money. Both exist at once. And this little experiment brilliantly illustrates the source's main point about money. See, we're conditioned from birth to believe money is this scarce, finite thing that we have to compete for. But this theory claims that's a lie. Banks can and do literally create money from nothing, which makes it, for all practical purposes, an infinite resource. Okay, so if money's infinite, why in the world is there poverty? According to the source, it's not an accident. It's a design feature. The illusion of scarcity and the existence of poverty creates what it calls artificial misery, which is what makes us believe money is valuable and motivates us to spend our entire lives working to get it. All right, let's move on to our second clue. This one is even more personal. It isn't about what's in your wallet. It's about the very idea of you. So this slide shows 2 totally different ways of seeing yourself. For most of human history, people saw themselves as part of a collective, a tribe, a village. Their lives were shaped by big forces outside their control, gods, fate. But today, we mostly see ourselves as individuals, the sole authors of our own stories. Now, you'd think the worldview that says gods and fate control you would be the most disempowering one, right? But the source argues the exact opposite. So which of these 2 ideas actually makes you powerless? According to the source, the most disempowering idea is the modern one, the belief that you are an isolated individual solely responsible for your own fate. That is presented as the ultimate trap. And here's why that is. By making you believe that all of your problems and all their solutions are internal, it isolates you. It stops you from looking at the larger systems of power. And crucially, it prevents you from joining up with other people to challenge those systems. You're just too busy trying to fix yourself. This idea of the isolated individual doesn't just appear out of thin air. And that brings us to our final clue, the invention of the nation itself. According to the source, this powerful idea is forged in one specific place we all know very well: school. We all went to school. We all have a pretty good idea of what it's for, don't we? We're taught it's a place to gain knowledge, learn skills, get a degree, get ready for a job. These are the obvious surface-level answers. But the source claims these reasons are just a cover for a much deeper primary function. And the source's answer is blunt: brainwashing. It argues the whole system isn't designed to teach you how to think, but what to think. As evidence,
The source points to a really fascinating historical pattern. The first three societies to ever implement compulsory public schooling were Sparta, the Aztecs, and Prussia. And their one common thread? They were all hyper-militarized states built for conquest.
And what is this brainwashing for? It's to make you believe in a powerful, abstract idea, the nation-state. School is designed to take you away from your family, to dissolve those local identities and forge a new, primary loyalty to a nation you must be willing to fight and die for.
So let's bring our three clues together: the illusion of money, the myth of the individual, and the invention of the nation. How do they reveal this ultimate theory of power?
The source argues that these three pillars of modern life, the things that dictate where you live, what you do, and who you are, they aren't concrete realities. They are powerful manufactured ideas that have been implanted in our collective imagination. And this is the source's ultimate definition of power. It's a form of alchemy, not turning lead into gold, but turning nothing, an abstract idea, into everything, a concrete social reality that governs millions of lives. The key insight here is that the most powerful forces in our world aren't armies or laws, but the ideas we've been convinced to accept as reality. But the source material doesn't end on a negative note. It actually turns the entire theory into a challenge. If the world we live in is built on imagination, on powerful ideas we've been taught to accept as truth, then it leaves us with one final provocative question. What can we imagine next?